is Republican Congressman from Georgia and member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and House Armed Services Committee, Richard McCormick. We want to thank you, sir, very much for being with us today because, of course, it's a big weekend, all eyes on Arizona. First, I want to get your reaction to Kirk's memorial service tomorrow because, you know, we've got several public figures, as we've mentioned, set to attend. So security is high. Now we've got the Senate passing this National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. So I want your thoughts on what we're going to see tomorrow. And also, do you think this will be a moment to show bipartisanship, if only for Sunday?
It is a moment to show that. The question is, will it? I want to point out that the majority of Democrats in the House voted for this and had a very positive attitude. I also want to point out that the Senate unanimously passed the October 14th remembrance, and I think that's great. Charlie Kirk is kind of an enigma. If you think about it, he's not really political. He's not really religious. He's not a politician. He's not supported by the government. But what he did has been transformational, and some people don't like that. But we all define ourselves individually. Whether I hold the door for somebody, it's not because they deserve it. Whether I respect my parents or not, it's not because they are good people or not. We do it to define ourselves. And I think those people who voted against this, the people who continue to be belligerent and divisive, they're defining themselves. They're not defining Charlie or the party or the House or anybody else.
You know, political violence is a growing issue in this country. We talk about it, it seems like now, every single day. Megyn Kelly, who's a friend of Charlie Kirk, spoke with Batya Ungar-Sargon for her new show that is premiering later today. We want to remind everybody of that. They spoke about the problem of violence in the country. Let's take a listen together.
These latest polls that just hit, there's a YouGov and one other that show, the other one shows 55% of Democrats think political violence is sometimes okay. The YouGov one shows 34%, but when you look on the GOP side, how many think political violence is ever okay, it's down to 7%. This is a left-wing problem, and I don't even need a poll to show me. I can see Charlie in a casket. That tells me everything I need to know.
All right, some strong statements from Megyn there. What needs to be done on both sides of the aisle to violence to end? Because we just keep having this conversation, and now, of course, with Kirk, it's just getting worse.
Well, ultimately, this is about convincing people to do the right thing. And I want to point out the people who are producing the right product. And I'll point to my election and what we did. You can see the people who are being successful aren't focused on winning an argument. We're focused on winning a friend. You're not going to convince somebody to come over to your side. You're not going to grow the church by punching somebody in the face. You're not going to convert somebody by telling them they're an idiot. If you want to grow the party, if you want to grow a movement, I think Charlie Kirk really defined that. He used logic, he used love, he talked about what's good for all people. That's convincing, that's going to move the needle. This hatred, this rhetoric, this anarchy that has been around since the beginning of humankind has not been effective. It's just insulting to everybody else, and usually it's eliminated in short order when it becomes violent because nobody thinks it's okay to go around killing people when you disagree.
Right. You make some good points there with those strong words. I thank you for that. And I also want to move to this because Trump signed an executive order for an annual fee of $100,000 on H-1B visas. So switching gears here for just a second, because this is the visa for high-skilled foreign workers. I wanted to get your take on this because it's along with the newly dubbed Trump Gold Card for people willing to pay $1 million to enter the U.S. This is a story that we've covered for a long time, and now it's back again. Former Trump advisor and tech billionaire Elon Musk long advocated for the visa program formally. So I'm just curious what you think, what the repercussions might be of this major visa overhaul, because it's been in the ether for a while, and now it's being hammered out.
Yeah, I like to have a lot more people at the board when we talk about major changes like this. It eliminates a lot of people who've been working hard, who don't have that kind of money. Quite frankly, it kind of breaks the tradition of how we immigrate here and work. I want to make sure that we right-size it no matter what for the H-1B process. When you're talking about bringing skilled labor to do jobs, sometimes we just don't have that. When AI is replacing entry-level people, we shouldn't bring in anybody, whether it's for $100,000 or not. When we have the jobs, it doesn't matter. I don't think it's a matter of who pays for it, because once again, it creates kind of a skewed system. But I think this should be up for debate. I'm not real big on executive orders and changing the Constitution of the United States. And I mean, when I say Constitution, I'm not talking about the Constitution of the United States. I'm talking about the composition of the United States. But I think we have a lot of debate to do over this because I think we have a lot of immigration problems. And it's not just an H-1Bs. We're talking about agricultural, construction, hotels, you name it. We have a lot of things we're going to have to fill if we have an expanding economy by 4% per year. We don't have enough people, and we have to be smart about the way we do it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up some of the skill set because we want to take a look at the numbers of tech workers on this H-1B visa and ask you if it creates uncertainty for businesses, professionals, and students across the world. Many people say yes. When we take a look at what we've got on our screen, we're talking about the top employers with workers on these H-1B visas. When you take a look at that list and those numbers, what do you think?
Well, there's going to be an adjustment period for sure, but I do know for a fact, I know kids that are graduating from school right now with AI programming degrees who are not getting jobs. Well, that's because a lot of times they're not getting jobs when H-1B workers come over here and replace them instead at a cheaper rate or already trained rate. We're going to have an adjustment period, and there's some good always in this, and there's always some negative. That's the unintended consequences of legislation and executive orders that sometimes are not considered until it plays itself out.
I also wanted to ask you about what you introduced here with the Incentivize Saving Act, which would reward federal agencies for underspending. So how does this promote long-term fiscal responsibility? How do you have this crafted?
I think this is the most amazing piece of legislation in decades. And I hope the American gets it on board. We get this to the floor because once it gets to the floor, it will pass with flying colors. The speaker literally said to me, this sounds too good to be true. And when we started passing it past the Cardinals and the chairs, they were so excited about it. And so what it basically does, instead of punishing people at the end of the year for not spending their money, which is what we traditionally do. If you don't spend the money you have in your budget, let's say I'm a logistics officer for a squadron, and I've been thinking about this for 30 years. I lose that money, it goes away, it still gets spent by somebody, but I get a smaller budget the next year. So of course I'm gonna spend all the money I have. I'm gonna buy pens, paper, some things I may not need. Instead of doing that and punishing people, let's say at the end of the year, if you don't spend it, 49% of that goes towards next year's budget. So you actually have more money to buy that, maybe that computer or that system upgrade or something you needed.
Sure.
And then 49% goes back to the debt and deficit, which we're 30% over budget every year. We know spending is a problem in government. It's like a built-in Doge where instead of having someone come in and tell me what I can't spend my money on, we get to decide what we don't need this year, and we get rewarded for it. And then the remaining 2% actually goes to bonuses in that department up to 10% of the salary. So I give you 3 carrots to do the right thing for America and for yourself instead of 2 sticks to do the wrong thing.
Carrot and sticks. I think that people will really understand that. So Republican Congressman from Georgia, Richard McCormick, thank you very much for being with us today to go over all those topics. Appreciate you. And in a unanimous decision, Erica Kirk, the widow of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, elected as CEO and